If I am not to look for the self as separate from me during meditation, what should I be doing during meditation? You should not do anything. It's a simple reply. Meditation is to remain effortless, but the tendency will not allow. You will always try to do something. So you always surrender your effort to do anything. If at all you do something, try to surrender your effort. Do you get the meaning? Meditation, you don't have to do anything. Simply leave everything. In meditation, the real meditation is to leave everything, all efforts, all concepts, all preconceived ideas. Everything has to be left. If at all we have to do that. To become effortless. Buddhisthana vicheshtati. See, this is the ultimate goal of meditation. Yada panchapatishtante jnanani manasasaha buddhisthana vicheshtati. So you have to do that. The tendency will always be there to do something. That tendency has to be surrendered. In Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, initially they have said so many things about what is yoga, how to attain it, this, that and all. If time permits, I will discuss 4 sutras. All these things they have discussed. Then finally in the 21st sutra, I believe, he says, Ishvara pranidhanat va. That means whatever all to be done, he has discussed. After completing that, he is saying, Ishvara pranidhanat va. Pranidhanat means, Ishvara pranidhanat means surrender to the Lord. That means you do all these things and try to attain, or you don't have to do anything, surrender everything to the Lord. Then it will be attained. Now in the name of surrender, you should not sleep. This surrender also, people often misbehave, using it as an excuse. If no desire has got the potential to make me fulfilled or happy, what about the desire for liberation? This I have already done. In today's context, how does one learn dharma? Which text to follow? How does one know what is the right livelihood that is in accordance to dharma? How does one know which desires are in accordance to dharma? Now here actually dharma, adharma, it needs quite some discussion, but generally I will try to give some practical guideline. Normally in Mahabharata you will find dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatassa pantha. This is from Mahabharata, Yudhishthira's statement. He said that dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatassa pantha. That to know the dharma in a certain situation, it is extremely difficult. It is hidden in the cavern. Nihitam guhayam, in the guha, in the cavern. Mahajano yena gataha sapantha. The Shrestha people, Mahajanas, the knowers or the Shreshthas, saints, whichever path they take, that is the path. That means you should go by the guidance of the Mahapurusha. Now in Bhagavad Gita you will find Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Mam ekam sharanam braja. That you leave all other dharmas, that all moral codes of this is right, this is wrong, as Arjuna had discussed in the first chapter. Leave everything. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. You simply follow me alone. Now me is the Krishna who has identified himself with the universal identity. So whether you are following Krishna or your own Atma, it does not matter. I said that Viveka Buddhi, so follow the Viveka Buddhi, that will take us to the Dharma. That is the Atma, the Atmic voice, the inner voice. So here, or if you have a Guru, you follow the Guru's voice also, like Krishna's actual demonstration, whatever. Now, I will give you a thumb rule for this. At least for a seeker it is easy to follow the dharma. For a seeker, what is dharma? What is the present state from which we start our sadhana? Is it not a constricted state of I limited by the body mind personality, a small I? There we start. And where do we reach? The goal is called Brahmatmaikatva Bodha. Brahma, Atma, Ekatva Bodha. That is, Atma is not different from Brahman, the universal consciousness. This is the final. So, from a small concept of I to an universal concept of I, what will take you there? Expansion. Expansion. So, every moment you should watch your within and find, by doing this, am I expanding or contracting? Whatever takes you to further and further expansion is dharma, for a seeker at least. For all, but for a seeker you can test it, because you will look within and find out. Now this expansion is associated with a feeling of inner strength and lightness also. Lightness means not frivolous joking and all. There will be a spatial feeling. Is not space very light, or air also very light compared to our rigidity, grossness? So whenever we are having an expansion within, it will be associated with a feeling of lightness, an airiness, a spatialness. So that is the signal to know, am I on the right path or not? That is, you do, suppose you are standing on the crossroad, shall I take A or B? You do the thought experiment, I have taken A, and look within that what is happening. Maybe I will get money, I will get prestige, I will get everything, but there is something shrinking within. I am becoming small, because something wrong I have to do perhaps there. You do the thought experiment, I will take B. Oh, I may lose my job also, I may lose this. If I stand straightforward, then I might be sacked also. So I am losing my property, my job, everything. But inside you will feel that still I feel I am strong. Let me lose everything, I don't bother about it. So this test can be done by the thought experiment. I will give you a simple example, true. Vidyasagar's case, I have told earlier also. Vidyasagar was called Vidyasagar because he was learned. He was called Dayasagar also because he was very merciful. And he was noted for his truthfulness, like Yudhishthira. Absolute truthful in everything. People would believe whatever he says. He could be used as for judgment also. He was so truthful. Now it so happened that once his very close friend died. Now they were all Brahmin Gurukula communities. That's those who would have Pathashala and all. They will not be moneyed people, because they don't take remuneration generally. Whatever people give, with that they used to live. Collecting some shag or something, they will cook, they will live like that. Whoever student gives something, they will accept it. So the friend died and the wife did not know what to do. There were many children. The family was starving. Vidyasagar was Dayasagar also. Otherwise also anybody will feel sympathy in such cases. What to do? But this lady was so prestigious that she will not accept anything as support. Kuch paisa diya, yeah. She would not accept. She was very prestigious about it. So Vidyasagar thought that how to save the family. So one day he went to the friend's wife and said that, Ma, my friend has died and he has put me into great trouble. I am in great sankata. Why? I had taken so much of money, maybe 1000 rupees those days or 100 rupees those days was great. I had taken this money from him for my purpose. And the person has died. How can I return my money? Our Shastras say that if the person has died, the first person you can return to is wife. If the wife is also died, is not there, give it to the eldest children. Like that our Shastric injunctions are there. Now Vidyasagar was so known, well known for truthfulness that this wife of the friend could not disbelieve him. She could not disbelieve him that it is untrue. So Vidyasagar said that together I cannot give you so much of money. So every month I will give you 10 rupees or so. Those days 10 rupees was great, something like that. And she accepted. Now, the Vidyasagar who was so truthful, it was lie. It was a mithya. Now saying that is it dharma or adharma? How will you analyze? That such a truthful person, another question is there, why it is bad to have an ego of virtue. Vidyasagar also was egoistic about his virtue of truthfulness, but did he not transcend that virtue to fulfill a certain aim? Is it not a greater truth what he did? See, Bhishma also foolishly held on to his virtue. What is that? Of his word, promise. I have promised, so I will hold on. When that promise has become absolutely non-functional, no value at all, then also he is holding on to his ego of keeping the promise. You know all that, I will not go into the detail. So all this Yudhishthira's ego, Bhishma's ego, it is good to have that ego of virtue, but when the time comes you have to transcend it, otherwise you are falling short of it. When I told this Vidyasagar story in Bombay in a commerce college, the children were very naughty. They would not listen to anything. Only that I said, that the moment it was introduced that I was a professor in IIT, they kept quiet. They started listening. So, when I told this story, one boy got up and he asked me, because Vidyasagar spoke a lie, he asked me that, how do we know when I can speak a lie? He's a clever boy, he wants to speak lie. So I said that when you feel, first of all, when you are not speaking for any selfish aim, you can judge you are speaking the lie for saving you from punishment or harming somebody or getting some material for somebody. For any selfish aim you are speaking the lie, it is not dharma, it's not true. If it is for some great cause or something, like as Vidyasagar did, and which is nothing, no selfishness in it, then you can speak. So dharma has to be, through this transcendentalness we have to use the dharma. That is why Yudhishthira says, dharmasya tattvam nihito guhayam. It's very difficult. Mahajano pantha, that where the path on which the great people go, that is the dharma ultimately. Now you have asked about dharma, where can we learn? There are many places where you can learn. Mahabharata Shanti Parva is only on dharma, dharma, dharma. So much discussion is there. Bhagavatam, so much discussion is there on dharma. If you don't read all those things, at least Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, you see the virtues. Those are all dharmas. 13th chapter has got 24 virtues, which is, they are saying that etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. This is called jnana, all other things are ajnana. So the jnana also is presented in Bhagavad Gita as a conglomeration of 20 or 24 virtues. This is a speciality of Bhagavad Gita. Not हम फिलॉसफी समझ लिए हैं, जान लिया है, आत्मा ये है, ब्रह्म न है, हो गया. नहीं, कुछ नहीं हुआ है. ये सारा वर्चूज आप में रहना चाहिए, नहीं तो नहीं हुआ है, कुछ नहीं हुआ है. It is a becoming process which will always be accompanied with these virtues. So those are all dharma you can take for anybody. These are the dharmas. Amanitvam, madambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, rajyavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham. All those are there. Okay. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada nitya bodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada nitya bodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi. Hari Om Tat. Vimukta sangaya saduttamaya नित्याद्वयानन्दरसस्वरूपिणे भूम्ने सदा पारदयाम्बुधाम्ने नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते चिदानन्दमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य. So we will start from the 9th verse today. 3rd chapter, 9th verse. This is if you divide the chapter in various sections, this is the next section. Yajñārthāt karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर सहजज्ञाः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एष वोस्त्विष्टकामधुक् देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवा दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यो यो भुङ्क्तेस्तेन एव सः यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापा ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्. So these verses, and in the 4th chapter, I think it is 23 to 33 in the 4th chapter. 23 to 33 in the 4th chapter. Here, in these verses, Krishna is giving an altogether new definition of yajna. And he has taken the concept from usual ritualistic definition to a universal definition. That is normally, as I said the last day also, that yajnas are part of the karmakanda of the Veda, the ritualistic part of the Vedas. And people perform yajna with phalakanksha. Phalakanksha means to gain something, either in this world or after death in the other world. So there is a desire behind the performance of the yajna. Sometimes, of course, this desire is taken to a greater level of social welfare or so. That also can be done, but generally, as it was individually practiced, it was given to individual desires. But here in Bhagavad Gita, Jajna is just the reverse of it. Jajna concept is introduced which will take away the desires from our mind. All the actions have to be done with the Jajna attitude, means to keep away that carrot of happiness away from the work and do it with a non-selfish, completely surrendered motive, with a sense of surrender. So there it is phala prapti, and here it is phala tyaga. Phala tyaga means surrendering the result that I will gain. Result means objective, as I said, you should not forget at all. Any work done about the objective result, we cannot do anything. Whatever by causality, if you do it well, the result will be well. If you do it wrongly, the result will be wrong. About the objective result, there is no question of tyaga at all. It will come by following the material causality. Nothing can be done. Whenever Bhagavad Gita is referring to the phala tyaga, it is about the carrot, that end part of it, that I will become happy by doing this. I will do this to gain money or prestige or property or fame or so, and getting that, this will happen, that will happen. Finally is that I will become happy. So removing that carrot of happiness is the phala tyaga. Now, as I said that samatva is defined as the yoga here. So samatva has been prescribed as a very definite practice, as a pursuit in the karma yoga of Bhagavad Gita, or you can say Bhagavad Gita yoga. Because whenever we say karma yoga, there is some misconception and preconceptions associated with it. Bhagavad Gita yoga is a combination of bhakti, jnana and karma all together. Without buddhi, this yoga cannot be performed. Just I do karma, it will not be possible. One has to understand the redundancy of the desire. So that needs buddhi, that needs it has to be established in buddhi. Now, as the samatva yoga is one orientation which will take us to the ultimate liberation or ultimate realization of the truth, like that, this Jajna Bhavana also is another way of looking at it. Actually, whatever method is given, everything will take us to the same goal. As Krishna himself has said, Dvividha Anishtha. Like that, whatever models have been given, everything will take us to the same goal. But it is a looking at the thing in a different orientation, so that we can apply wholesomely in all our throughout our life, in all the work we do throughout the day, this sadhana can remain active. That is the purpose. So Jajna Bhavana is equally an important concept of Bhagavad Gita, or important model of sadhana in Bhagavad Gita. Here he is saying that Jajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanah tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangah samachara. Jajnarthat karmanah anyatra ayam lokah karma bandhanah bhavati. That means whatever is done without the Jajna Bhavana, it causes bondage. He is just defining outside that whatever is done without the Jajna Bhavana, even if we cook also without the Jajna Bhavana, or we are doing anything, opening a factory or working in the factory or walking everywhere, any action done without the Jajna Bhavana will lead to bandhana. Why? The fact is that whenever we are sticking or clinging to the final result which will make me happy, it will cause bandhana. Why? Because suppose you don't get that result what you have expected, then you will not be happy and you will have to suffer that. And if you get the result, you will be elated and it will not remain forever. So later on you will lose. This clinging to raga and dvesha, clinging to what I like and hating what I dislike, that causes the bandhana. So Jajnarthat means with the attitude of Jajna, if it is performed, then we will not cling to the result. That is the idea. So he says Jajnarthat karmanah anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanah Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara. Therefore, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, you do everything getting rid of the sangaha, mukta sangaha. This sangha means clinging to the result, clinging to what I like and hating what I dislike. Leaving that sangha, don't cling to anything. Do it tadartham. Tat means the truth. You can call it Ishvara, you can call it God, you can call it Jajna, whatever. That ultimate tat means the ultimate truth. Tadartham. That means, as we say, that whatever you do it surrendering to the Lord. These are very common words. That thinking you are doing as if for the Lord you are doing. You are an instrument, you are doing for the Lord. But here it is not so. We say we are doing for the Lord, but how will you know that you have surrendered to the Lord in doing it? Nobody can see, because you have not seen God. Whether God exists or not also we do not know.